All right, I think we can start. So, hello everyone, nice to see you at today's Open Science Kitchen event. Just a few information for all who are not sure what the Open Science Kitchen actually is. Open Science Kitchen is a series of monthly events in which we discuss topics related to open science. And these events usually take 1 hour. Last time we talked about pre-registration, and today we will talk about open access. I would like to make already some advertisement for our next event. The April edition of the Open Science Kitchen event will be on the 29th of April at 14 hours. Jerome Bussmann and Bianca Kramer will talk about an open access diamond journal study in which they explored collaborative community-driven publishing models for open access. And apparently this event will be a nice follow-up to today's topic. If you want to get updates and invitations to the next Open Science Kitchen events, please join as a member. So coming to today's topic, the talk by Nicole Loorbach and Margriet van Eck will be about publishing 100% open access. How can we help you? They are part of the library team on open access, and they also try to make open access publishing as easy as possible for authors at the University of Twente. They are also a member of the open science community, and at least from Nicole, I know that she's also in a working group on open access, where open access specialists from all Dutch universities work together on reaching 100% open access. All right, ready or not, the floor is yours. Feel free to start.
Thank you, Marcus. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole. And Marit, if you will talk as well, then you will, I think, pop up for everyone.
Yes, hello, I'm here as well.
So I will be presenting today, and I have two things that I will talk to you about today. One is reports just came out on where we stand nationally with open access. And where we need to go. Are we on the right track? Well, the short version is we are on the right track, but we need to change a lot as well. And I'm going to talk to you about that, and I would really like a discussion about that. And the second thing is I'll briefly go over all the options that you already have to publish open access as a University of Twente author. Now, before we start, we would like to ask you a question, and Marit already put a lot of text in the chat. Marit will be handling the chat today. So we will put two statements in the chat, and will you please like the one that applies to you so we know how many of you actually publish as a UT author. So I think we have about everyone now. So well, it's good to see that at least half of us are regular UT authors. Because your input is very valuable, especially for us to know. Please tell us what you need so we can help you publish 100% open access. So I'll share my screen. Do you see it?
Yes.
Good. All right. So Marcus already introduced us, and these slides, Marcus, you're going to share them with the community, right?
I will.
Okay, good. So our contact info is here. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to contact us. And I will just briefly go over this slide. Why publish open access? There are lots of reasons to publish open access. Most revolve around visibility, impact, inclusion is a big one, or just plainly funder requirements. There are lots of reasons, and there are also lots of goals for open access publishing. Just to name a few, the Coalition S requirements based on Plan S by funders like NWO, EU, ERC, they are very strict. They require immediate open access with a CC license only. Goals for the University of Twente, as expressed in Shaping 2030, and the government of the Netherlands are a little bit less strict. The preferred route there is immediate open access publishing, but if you publish behind a paywall and open up your work afterwards in the university repository, that's okay as well for now. Now, all these goals have one thing in common. We need to get to 100% open access, and we need to get there fast. Now, to see where we stand now and what we must change to meet these goals for 100% open access, the Association of Universities in the Netherlands and the National Platform on Open Science, where all stakeholders in the Netherlands joined together, they commissioned for 3 studies into the feasibility of 100% open access for Dutch research publications. The scope of those studies is a lot broader than just the universities alone, and I'll focus on the universities in this presentation. So they did 3 studies into 3 ways to get to that 100%. These reports will be the starting point for a new national strategy to get to that 100%, and also the starting point for university open access policies to get to those 100%. And until March 31st, anyone can react to the results in these reports, to the current state of affairs, and to possible actions for the years to come. So if you would like us to communicate that to VSNU and NPOS, then we are very willing to do so. Just let us know. So before I dive into the results of these reports, there is some jargon that I need to explain first in case it's not on everyone's radar, because open access works a lot with colors. As you can see, gold, diamond, hybrid, green. There are basically 2 routes towards open access. One is the immediate open access publishing, where the copyright belongs to the authors. It is published immediately on the website of the publisher, and hopefully you'll also register it in Pure so we can offer it open access as well. Publishing open access means there are reuse rights in the form of a CC license, and this route obviously is Plan S compliant, so for the funders NWO, EU, ERC, but you can only get funding from them for this when you publish in a journal that is registered in the directory of open access journals, which means that such a journal meets strict open access criteria. Now, on the other end are the subscription journals, where obviously you publish behind a paywall, but you can make your work openly available in most cases afterwards. So the publisher has the copyrights because you signed a copyright transfer agreement, but then they will usually allow you to open up the accepted version of your work in the university repository after an embargo period that is set by them, which can sometimes be 48 months. And 4 years is a very long time for science. A new option opened up recently. The Dutch Copyright Act was altered, and as an author of short scientific work, meaning a journal article, conference paper, or a chapter in an edited collection, you can open up your work in the university repository after 6 months. And the good news is that this is the published version. So that is a good new way, and that is called green open access publishing. And the immediate publishing of open access that I just talked about is referred to as gold or diamond, where diamond is a subset of gold. They are both journals that only publish open access, but the diamond journals, they don't charge authors anything to publish their work open access, and the gold journals do. Now there's a middle form called the hybrid journals. They are actually subscription journals, so they get money for subscriptions, but they offer you as an author to publish your individual article open access in that subscription journal. So they get paid twice, right? Once for reading the content and once for open access publishing. And the idea is that these hybrid journals will eventually flip to become full open access journals, but they aren't now because it's a very nice place to be for the publishers to get paid twice. But the Dutch universities together, they used to enter into agreements with publishers together jointly, all 14 universities as VSNU, to get better prices for the subscriptions. And with the upcoming of hybrid journals, they changed those read agreements into read and publish agreements. So they said, we're still going to jointly pay for all those subscriptions, but only if our authors can publish in those same journals open access at a 100% discount. And that is referred to as read and publish deals. Now you have all the jargon, and I can talk about the results in those reports. So the first study was on journal articles, and what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that the route that the university libraries have taken so far was very successful. So with those read and publish agreements and with the Dutch Copyright Act that has changed, it has brought us to about 75% open access, which is a lot better than the non-university authors in the Netherlands are doing. So this is for the Dutch universities and the Dutch university medical centers. And the recommendation is to continue those hybrid read and publish agreements, to expand them so that gold journals are also included in those deals, and to also support diamond constructions, so constructions where the author doesn't have to pay. But big problem, library budgets are not sufficient. They cannot fully finance this transition, so we're not going to make it to 100% by going this route alone. So what are other things that we can do? We can strengthen the legal basis for green open access. And that's one thing that I just left out. On the bottom right, you see that actually publishing behind a paywall and making it openly available in a repository can be Plan S compliant. So for the Coalition S funders who have very strict requirements, you can do so when you get funding from NWO as of this year. You can use the rights retention strategy, and I won't go into that very deeply, but it is a way to publish behind a paywall and still be allowed to open up your work immediately as of day one of your publication with a CC BY license in the university repository. And that is a very nice way of reaching open access, right? But we need to strengthen the legal basis for that to make that available for everyone, not just NWO authors. And the last recommendation that is written in those reports is to include open access in the system of recognition and rewards, so authors are truly stimulated to publish open access. The second study looked into academic books and book chapters, and that is a short conclusion because the story is quite short. The transition is really still in its infancy. It has only just begun. It's going to take a long time. It's going to cost a lot. So the recommendations are pretty obvious. You need to either spend more, which I just said, the libraries don't have that kind of money, and it costs a lot. On average, 10,000 euros for one book to be published open access. Or you need to talk to the publishers to lower the cost, or you need to take matters in your own hands and start a university press and publish it by yourself, for instance. The Dutch book chapters and edited collections, luckily, they fall under the new agreement in the Dutch Copyright Act. so we can open those up after 6 months. And then the third report, which is the biggest, but also has the biggest options to come to 100% open access. And so far, they have been left out of most strategies and policies, but they are really upcoming and they have a lot of potential. So what are we talking about? There are different forms of platforms. The first type are the F1000 research-based platforms. It's a commercial platform. It has just been taken over by Taylor and Francis, and a lot of funders have platforms like this. For instance, Open Research Europe that just opened, or the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or the Wellcome Trust. Another type of alternative open access publication platform is overlay journals on preprint servers. Preprint servers have been around for a long time, but the overlay journals are relatively new. And what they do is they take preprints from those servers and they publish it there as well. So where these servers initially only had preprints, now actual peer-reviewed publications are added to. And a third type are the scholarly-led diamond, so no cost for the author, publishing initiatives, like SciPost, for instance, or the university presses, or new initiatives that just open up like openjournals.nl. Now, there are certain characteristics that all these platforms have in common. One, it's a two-step publication process. It's publish and then review. It's the other way around than a traditional publication process, which means that you also have two versions of a publication. So you have the preprint first, like on preprint servers you already had, and then the peer review article is added. Another characteristic is that there are other forms of peer review, like open peer review. The peer review is becoming more transparent, but it's also sometimes extended until after publication. So sometimes post-publication commenting is possible. And then even after the publication, authors can change that version again. So the entire publication process is becoming more fluid. Another characteristic is a wide range of publishing options. So you don't just publish your article, but you can also publish other types like data notes, or like the registered reports that Marcus talked to us about last time. Or you can have living systematic reviews, which get updated. And then there's the ownership of publishing by academic communities, and this is often a reaction to the commercial publishers. So what do the reports say about these types of platforms? Well, these can really make a difference. These alternative platforms can really function as change agents for the whole system of scientific publishing. So innovative open science elements will either be copied by the mainstream publication channels, or these platforms themselves will become important established channels, or both. Either way, they can really make a big difference. So that's good news. They can only become change agents, though, if they meet two requirements. One, publishing there is attractive. So it needs to be counted in research evaluation systems, just like mainstream publications are. And two, there needs to be financial and organizational stability for at least 5 to 10 years. And the last recommendation that is given in the reports is recognize the peer-reviewed articles on these platforms. So the publications on these platforms, the final published form, give structural financial support to really make them flourish and get an audience and get common for people. And third, study the added value of a national platform. And here it says NWO, ZON-NW, so that's the National Research Funder. But also, when you look at such a platform, see what's already going on for international funders, but also see if there are possibilities to include more people, so not just people who were funded by NWO. And those are, in short, all the results that came out of those studies. And what we would like to do now is talk to you about what does it sound like for you? Does it sound like a good route that we should follow? When you look at your own publishing, what do you need? What can be done for you on a national level and then on all levels, right? From the Dutch government to just NWO, for instance, to help you publish open access. So let me just end the slideshow now, or stop sharing. There you are. So any first reactions?
Yeah, Schubert is raising his hand. Sorry, I don't know your first name. But...
Yeah, Florian, hey.
Hi.
Yeah, thanks for the nice presentation. And particularly this F1000, I find it quite interesting because I wasn't aware of that. But then, I mean, there are these lists, right? So for example, Financial Times 50, where you have certain journals ranked. And then, yeah, you need to kind of publish in these journals to, yeah, climb up or to improve your career. So what is your impression about the impact of these platforms on such lists? And because I mean, looking at your own career, then I mean, you're more advised to publish in a journal where where your article might be not open access, but it helps you for your career. And on the other hand, you have such platforms where you can publish open access, but yeah, then it's not so helpful. So do you have also some insights on that?
Yeah, so that's a recurring theme when we talk about open access. It's the recognition and reward system. Just speaking for the Dutch universities, all the Dutch universities combined, they signed DORA, so the declaration, San Francisco Declaration on Research Assessment, which states you shouldn't use the impact factor and the H index anymore to to hire people or to promote people. But in practice, it still happens. So we have these ideals and we want to get ahead. But that's why these recommendations are also in the reports. It really needs to be adopted in practice as well. And we need to just transition in that respect as well. Not sure if anyone who's here has experience in that area of recognition and rewards. I'm very interested to know your experience with that, because we keep telling people don't, even in NWO, if you want to apply for funding now, you're not even allowed to state the impact factor of the journals you published in or your H index. You're not allowed to. You need to talk about the intrinsic value of your research. So there you can't, but if you want to apply for a job at an American university, for example, they're going to ask, right, for those numbers. So yeah, we're in a difficult stage right now. I'm not sure if anyone else wants to react to that.
I see Rietbroek has put up his hand first.
Yes,
so
Roelof here, thank you. Yeah, so very close to that point, actually. If you ask me, I don't really care about science or nature impact factors, but what they do really well is that they streamline the dissemination of science. So once there are papers, they have journalists who write press releases, etc., and push this towards the media. And ironically, although I don't like the embargo principle, I think it does work for journalists because they really need this hook. They really need to be like the one of the first to report on this in order to have their articles read. So I see a big, how do you say, a big battle there between the qualities of science and nature journals and the like, which I don't see in their impact factor, but in their ways of how to disseminate this. So do you have any options or views on how this can be improved on the open access side?
Well, you see it reflected in their APCs, so in the cost that they charge for making one article open access, which from the top of my head for Nature, it's €9,500 for one article.
Insane, yeah.
Yeah, that is a struggle, and we hear that from a lot of researchers as well. Like if we get published there, we want it to be open access available immediately, but there's such a high cost. And yeah, what are you going to do? You can use the Dutch Copyright Act as a Dutch author to make it openly available 6 months afterwards, but that's 6 months is still a long time. Yeah. Well, I would like to invite everyone to react to this because we don't have the answer to this either.
I see Daniva M has her or his hand raised.
Yes.
So maybe you can react.
Thank you very much. I have a comment to make about DORA. In 2016, it was our chair, who was the afdelingsdirector in computer science, who asked the members of his team to not only to mark their age index, but also to think within 2-3 years how they could raise their age index compared to internationally known scientists in each researcher's field. Having this as a practice also influenced how NVO makes decisions, for example, for proposal evaluation, because I was on a panel in 2014, 16, and 17 last, when the discussion was centered around the impact factors or the age index of individual researchers among the proposed teams. And this measure was used to judge the quality, what is called the quality of the consortium. I'm happy to hear this development, and this is the first time I hear it, maybe because in the online teaching I missed it, but since when is the DORA commitment Netherlands-wide? When it was signed?
2020, I don't know which month.
So it is very recent. That's why, okay, because I last participated in strong impact factor driven activities in 2017, and I'm very happy to see this happening, because many good, well qualified people were dismissed based on this ground. So especially women, because there are multiple reasons for why an impact factor of a particular researcher is not that strong as of another researcher. That could be traceable to life events and just reflecting age, of course, and having a career in a company and switching to a university. This doesn't make you less of a qualified researcher for certain jobs. But I'm happy that the university brought an end to this practice. So I also have a question. I switch topics now about this living systematic reviews, because I teach systematic reviews and I also do a lot with my PhD students. So what is the process of keeping a review as a living document once it is published? Like we publish usually the first chapter of a PhD student is a journal paper, because you cannot pack it in a conference proceedings submission. So after Elsevier publishes our systematic review, what options we have to upgrade it or to keep upgrading it? Could you shed some more light into this? Thank you.
I would love to, but I don't have a lot of experiences with living reviews, systematic reviews. All I read in the reports is that a systematic review is published, like, it has been traditionally, yes. And then just as new literature emerges, it is just it is added. But of course, then it's not systematic anymore, right? So I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that takes place. I would have to look into it.
Okay, I will send you an email
Yes,
to follow
please.
up on this. So I'm in an area where a lot of research is being published on a topic like smart cities, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, cybercrime, and we keep extending our systematic reviews by including high quality empirical research, let's say published in journals only, peer reviewed. But there is so much happening in the world, and therefore 10 to 15 good quality papers get published every year, and therefore it's worthwhile the effort keeping track of these developments in a systematic review. Doesn't mean, though, that each new research paper changes our results. So we have more and more evidence, stronger evidence through publications of other researchers that our original results actually show a particular trend or particular findings, particular conclusions have been drawn and are still intact, despite the fact that new streams of empirical research papers are coming our way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The way I see it, everything that's happening now with all the transparency, all the openness, and even those living systematic reviews, it broadens the whole conversation about science.
Yes, correct. Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
It's nice to hear about it. Thank you. Zurita Milla is the second one. Maybe you can pitch in here.
Yeah, thank you. That's me, Raúl Zurita from Faculty ITC. Yeah, I have several issues. I don't know really where to start. Maybe I should start with the most generic one. Is open access for you, or should open access for us be a goal, or is this something, or there's something more? Because to me, open access can never be a goal. I think that this should be about changing the way we produce science and we communicate our science. An open access and 100% open access indicator is just a way of measuring this change in the way we produce and communicate science. But I think it's risky to make it an institutional goal. That's the first point. I don't know if you want to react or anyone would like to react.
Yeah, can you clarify a little bit more?
Well, we say let's go for the numbers and let's try to make all the publications open access, and we have these different routes. I, for example, think that if we go for the green open access, we can make our publish our work open, but we are not changing at all the status quo. We are still maintaining the monopoly of a certain number of publishers, and we are also maintaining the very expensive system that we created and that they are benefiting from. Or if we go to a gold open access and then we go to this double dipping model where we pay for subscription and then we pay because we want to comply with certain institutional requirements or funding organizations, again, we are not changing anything. One of my colleagues, I think from ITC, Rulov, said this is more about communication, and I think this is also very much aligned with my way of thinking. It is really about the way we want to communicate our work, and following these indicators and just making a number a goal is very risky. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, well, the whole system is very crooked, isn't it? It's just starting with all the work that is being done by researchers, and then the publishers have profit margins of over 40%, which is outrageous. So that's also why a lot of these platforms emerge in reaction to the commercial publishers. I think it's very good that the academic world is taking back power in that sense. And also, it was written in the reports when they were looking at the Dutch landscape. The Dutch universities really, with those read and publish deals, we've done very well when you look at the pricing compared to other countries too. But we are doing well, but worldwide, it's going to take at least 10 more years for these hybrid journals to stop existing. So we're going to be stuck in that system for 10 more years. So I agree with you that looking into, for instance, those alternative publishing platforms or more diamond publishing can be extremely valuable in taking back power as
Yeah.
the scientific community. Yes.
Yeah, I think we have given away all the power, and we are giving away a lot of our research budget that goes into publishing firms that are for profit. And I think that this money, I will never pay 9,500 euros in publishing a journal open access in Nature, because I think with that money we can save lives. And now we are only making a certain person rich. And this is crazy. This is really crazy. The other thing is that now you mentioned this read and publish. Could you please clarify if with the disagreements, the copyright remains with us or with the publishing?
With the read and publish agreements?
Yes.
Well, those agreements are for all the universities. So they pay a lump sum and then they get subscriptions to journals, to hybrid journals. So they can access the content of the paywalled articles, and then the authors can publish truly open access. So they are the copyright holders.
Okay. Okay. No, I was afraid of this type of Elsevier constructions where we pay also a lump sum, but it's a system where at the end the license remains with them, and basically we are kind of we are only paying to use their system, but all the knowledge remains in their hands.
Yeah, no, and with the read and publish agreements, the copyright stays with the authors. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Then I will. Yeah. Thank you. Maybe others can contribute.
Yeah. Thank you, Raoul. Arndt Hartmans, you are raising your hand as well.
Exactly. Trying to get my video, yes, to work. So I mean, also on that, maybe on that last comment of these deals. So I've been using them quite a bit. I think we had a deal with Springer for a long time, and now starting from this year, we have one with ACM. But maybe there was the question of how can someone help make this more open access, and I think I felt that I need more information on things. So I read in some news item on the UT website that we now have this deal with ACM. And by chance, I have an ACM journal article that was originally submitted last year and now accepted, and I just did the final version. But nowhere in their copyright process did it come up that I have this option. So only by having read this in the news, I then actually sent them an email of how do I need to do this. And then they said, okay, then fill it in and send us the invoice. And I was unsure, maybe does it only apply to things that are submitted from 2021? And so I looked, the only information I could find was on this openaccess.nl website, and that was very superficial. It didn't tell me which time point counts. Is it the point of the acceptance decision? Is it the point of the final version submission? Is it the initial submission? Whatever. So I mean, probably you can't solve it yourself, but maybe give this to that really, as an author, it would be good to really have all the information on this, to know, does this deal apply to me? Should I push for it? Or am I just asking for something that is not for me? That was my comment there. I think that this information, also my earlier comment, that I think funders need to make sure what they mean by open access. Is it green? Is green okay? Do they want gold? Is hybrid okay or not okay? And this, I find, for example, NWO doesn't really clearly communicate this, at least in their funding scheme documents. And that also relates to my other comment, that maybe this is my computer scientist's perspective, that we publish mostly at conferences and in conference proceedings, and then at some point we'll do a journal version. So for me, it seems to me that conference proceedings are often ignored in these initiatives. So like the Springer deal had the Springer journals, but it didn't have lecture notes in computer science, where almost all our conferences appear in. So now I heard from EU that for EU funding, they only care about journals. Okay, nice. I don't know what NWO actually does. Maybe they don't care about conference proceedings either. I don't know, because they're not clear at all on what they want. So this is maybe my feedback on the immediate issues. And now the names are gone. on the previous comment of the community change, I would just like to add that at least in the communities I'm in, I'm seeing some push from below, that conferences actually renegotiated their deals with Springer to be open access with the threat of switching to another publisher. And I think they got a very nice deal to have very cheap open access for the entire conference going back to the past. So I think we have a way also as communities to really make a change there in some of these things. Maybe not so much for journals, maybe that's only in this case where we have community organized events that then publish with a publisher. And of course they have some power. They can say we go somewhere else. And we go to I think the Dutch Olympics model, which would be open access. Oh, and then Springer comes around and gives them very low costs for open access, which is nice. And the other, I'm a bit doubtful about these novel platform things, so right, because there's a lot of work associated to this. So one is the reviewing, and do we also reward people for this kind of work? Like if I review for a conference, well, that's somewhere at the end of my CV, that's a little list, and my name gets put into the proceedings. I'm reviewing for journals. I really think, do I want to do this? There's very little recognition in it nowadays already. And then do we keep that for these open platforms? And there's a lot of other effort, right? I mean, when I publish with Springer, at some point I get these emails from their copy editing team in India who've gone through my entire paper and they improved the references. They destroyed the tables, but whatever. Who is going to do that? I don't think researchers should do this work because that's not the work of a researcher. But this means we somewhere need money to put in whole teams of doing the menial tasks of publishing somewhere. Now, I think publishers get overpaid for these tasks at the moment, but I think we should not have a situation where I need to go through the LaTeX source code of people's papers to fix their formatting. That's all I wanted to say. Sorry, thanks.
Well, you said a lot of valuable information for us. And I agree that the information about the new deals and which journals and a lot of conferences are also part of the read and publish agreements, but not at the same level as the journals, obviously. But communication about that is difficult also for us as open access specialists, because publishers are trying to change the agreements a little bit every time to get more out of it. So now more and more publishers, for instance, work with caps. So only a maximum number of articles can be published under the agreement per year for all universities combined, for instance. And that is very difficult in our communication. And the negotiations go further than the 31st of December. So now we have a few big agreements that are about to be finalized, and we're almost in April. And it kind of was still going on for the past 3 months, but it was very unclear for all of us. So that really is something to focus on nationally as well. And I will definitely communicate this on a national level too.
And I think that the point is there that sometimes these websites appear to me like they're a bit advertising these things, but there also needs to be a face to this for the researcher with all the technical details, I think. So.
Yeah, well, we do. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. I can, that is the second part of the presentation that I won't go into all the way now, but I will send it to all. I will ask Marcus to send it to all of you. And if do you see my screen now? Oh.
Yes.
Somehow I don't see what you see anymore, but so if you go to, everything is kind of blocked. Do you see now how to publish open access as a UT author?
No, we still see the question about how can we help you publish 100%.
Okay, hold on. So I'm gonna end that one. There you go. Okay.
We see your screen again now.
Now you see how to publish open access, right? So yes. When you go to utwente.nl/open access, there's a lot of info, but the info that you need for the specific journals and conference proceedings that are part of those deals for 100% discount You can find it here on the How to Publish Open Access for Free as a UT author, and it will take you to the University of Twente journal browser. And you will see you can search for terms in title and in scope, and that will give you a list of journals that have those terms. And then on the right, you see either an orange logo, those are full open access journals or conferences, and a blue logo are the hybrids. And if you click on a journal's title, it will bring you to a lot more information, including all the specific requirements to make use of that agreement to be eligible for the discount.
Yeah. Thanks. I think Raoul wants to react on this or something else.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I would like to react to this one as well, because I think, Nicole, you used the word discount or free. And to me, this is a little like there's no free lunch. So it might look like it's free for us, but again, we are spending as a university and as a research community a huge amount of money, even with the deals.
Yes, that is the first sentence. When you click on that title, it says it's not for free, of course. But the Dutch universities paid a lump sum together, and for you as an author, you will get the 100% discount. So yes, let's be clear about that. It is definitely paid for, yes.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say before when I said that I think that making open access a goal by itself is a little bit tricky, because of course we can reach the goal, but it's a matter of investing money. But do we want to do a rich open access goal like this?
Yeah.
One a little bit more thinking like devil's advocate. What happened with all these deals? I mean, aren't we promoting the big publishing companies and in a way strengthening the monopoly and putting ourselves every time in a weaker and weaker position, because other alternative publishers and the new generation and the existing diamond journals will suffer a lot with this.
There's a very, very valid point that we get back to every time with all the open access specialists from the Netherlands combined from all the universities. We keep putting money in the system of hybrid journals that are unwilling to flip to full open access, right? And we give them a reward for that. And all the journals that are already fully open access and even diamond models, we don't support those. So that is like ethically, you can't explain that. So yeah. Yes, this is something that is becoming bigger and bigger. So that's why I'm also very happy with the result of this report, because it shows us that what we have been doing, it has worked until now, and it can work a little bit longer, but it's not sustainable. We don't have enough money, even especially if you take into account that the number of publications increase roughly 4% each year for university authors. There's not enough money in the system to keep putting money in the system of hybrid of the excessive APCs. So I'm very happy with the alternative platforms too.
Yeah. I also think that we should really get more in touch with the shaping group of individuals and teams. They interview me and other UT colleagues, and I think they are doing now more roundtables. And this issue of recognition and reward of peer review I see in the chat, but also how we publish, needs to be addressed, because it's also crazy to see this exponential growth on publications simply because we want to have thicker and thicker CVs or longer list of publications. It's really crazy, and it's not helpful to anyone, I think. Yeah, so I think this is, we need to talk to address also this from other dimension, the human dimension as well.
Yeah. Agree, totally. I think Marjolein Drent wants to react as well.
Yes, I have two things. I agree that the system is now not sustainable, and the problem we have arrived, actually the Netherlands has made quite good deals in comparison to outside developments. For instance, in Germany, they have far more expensive deals, and that is why we now also get those deals probably become more expensive every day. But the reasons why they started those deals has everything to do with recognition, because most researchers, to be honest, the majority still seems to want to publish preferably with those publishers. And Yeah, and that is the because I do think there should be alternative ways, and I also think it's very good if we can, for instance, try to strengthen the green route, as also is indicated in the reports. But it is also really about the cultural change on where do you want to publish as a researcher. And now the call is 100% open access, and I think that is sometimes, if you really want to make that, what is then the best way to get there, or where should then the change start?
Yeah, good point, of course. I thought no, there's no more hands raised. So I don't know, Nicole, if you want to react to that for now, or want to continue with something from the presentation.
Well, we have 6 minutes left on my clock. Yeah, I'm very happy with all the input that we've gotten, and I agree with everything that you have said. So I recognize this also from what we've heard from researchers contacting Marit and me about open access publishing issues. Very valuable, and I will definitely communicate this to the national group on open access. I will also, like I said, send you the PowerPoint presentation, and then with added notes on your specific options as a University of Twente author. And if any of you want to talk any further about open access publishing, you can always contact us through the channels on the first slide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was also a discussion or conversation at least going on in the chat about reviewing. So we will definitely look into that as well. We didn't have the time to react on it because we were talking about other stuff, but I followed it as well. So thanks for that too.
Any other urgent remarks or questions?
See, oh, I forgot your name again. Was it Roelf?
That's Roelof, thanks.
Roelof, sorry.
I was just typing something in the chat, but speaking up is easier.
Yeah.
I think we did. I was in Germany before. I worked in Germany before, and at one stage we had we invited a journalist to speak about how they write science press releases and how they tap into the news, etc. And for me, that was a real eye opener because it really showed me, okay, journalists, because they're quite often on a freelance basis, they need, so what do they need, right? So what do they need and to take these stories and put them in the media? So my recommendation would be to maybe try to approach some journalists into this activity as well to get their viewpoint.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, if you ever run into any questions about open access publishing as a UT author, any deals, whatever, please email the information specialist of your faculty, or Marit and myself on open-access@utwente.nl. Because a lot of times we can really make a difference.
Yes, I will. Thank you. I was the one who posted that comment, but this time it was easily solved by contacting the editor. But of course, we were rather surprised by that response initially.
Yeah,
because actually my colleague already was kind of almost wanted to pay it, and I was the one who said, "I know we didn't have to; it was free." So sometimes it's really you really have to be careful with those kind of things.
Yeah.
But thank you. But next time I know that we can also contact you in case of any problems.
Yeah, and that last comment is definitely true. If you get funding from NWO, EU, ERC, in your funding application, you can already budget for open access publication costs. But that is also something that we really want to focus on more, because you only have one shot. You need to do it at the application of the funding, and if you miss out on that one, then you can't get it anymore afterwards. So that is something we really need to focus on as well. So I think we're gonna thank everyone for all your comments and all your help. We're definitely gonna go through everything in the chat. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us. And then I think now it's time, and 1 minute left, to give the floor to Marcus again.
Yeah, I don't know if I think Marcus is still here, but he told me that he doesn't have anything to add, so that it was fine for us to just
yeah, feel free to close the session.
Yeah.
Well, the last comment by Raoul, yes, we had a conversation with someone at the University of Peter-Paul-Verbeek who was really looking into starting an open access journal through openjournals.nl, and these are openjournals.nl is one of the platforms that are mentioned as an alternative platform that need more need to be stimulated more. So we're definitely looking into those diamond models as well. Yes.
Thank you, Nicole.
Okay. Thank you very much. It was very informative session.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all very much.
Bye.